one else seems to know about it.
Ang screen name niya, Jezebel Lopez. Sabi niya na para daw siyang Egyptian princess.
God, who stirred the void and in motion's birth, revealed yourself. The warm limbs wake along the dark stairways. The far eyes live to take the fixed commotion of the stars, their dim, furious speed, predictive in the blood. The cupped hands hold the spinning sun, till all this reaching tips the rim of heaven to the earth, spilling the primal colors from the splitting of a seed, waving the tall green like a great sea waking, and in the golden light, tiny hands lifting, falling, turning in God's own orbit, my golden one.
Paano nga ba nasusukat ang halaga ng buhay ng isang alagad ng sining? Ito ba'y makikita sa kanilang mga nilikhang obra? O sa mga pilosopiyang lumipas man ang panahon, ang bawat linya ng mga kaisipang pinanday ay nananatiling totoo?
To describe it, her poetry has always been very cerebral, malalim. There's an intelligence underpinning the entire poem. The poem may be emotional or be rendered emotionally.
Paano nga ba masusukat ang hangganan ng kanilang impluensya? Ito ba'y matatagpuan sa landas ng kanilang hinawan, mga daan at direksyong nilakbay, at bukal na kahusayang kanilang ibinahagi, o sa mga buhay na minsay nahawakan at hinubog ng inspirasyon?
Writing is like that. It's seeing everything you can see and then choosing what you're going to put into your text, into your work. You don't begin by limiting yourself. You begin by seeing all the possibilities. Siguro that's the best lesson I'll ever be able to share from Mom Edith kasi I wasn't a big fan of the technical aspect of writing. I am now.
At paano nga ba nasusukat ang kanilang kadakilaan? Ito ba ay matutukoy sa kanilang mga tropeyo tagumpay o sa kanilang mga layunin na di lamang nagpapaunlad sa kanilang sariling kaganapan bilang tao, kundi pati nagpapayaman sa kakayahan ng nakararami, nagbibigay puwersa at kabuluhan sa tunay na kahulugan ng buhay, mga damdaming kanyang binuhay sa salita at mga salita na kanyang binigyang laman. Ito ang kapangyarihan ng panitikan ng isang Filipinang makata, manunulat, kritiko, at guro. Ang natatanging rosa sa hanay ng mga pambansang alagad ng sining sa panitikan, ang ina ng panitikang Filipino, Edith L. Tiempo. Ika-22 ng Abril taong 1919, sa San Nicolas, Bayumbong, Nueva Vizcaya, ipinanganak si Edith Lopez Tiempo sa mag-asawang Teresa Cotoran at Salvador Lopez.
Kasi ang kanyang pagkabata ay palipat-lipat sila sa maraming mga lugar. Nakapagtira sila sa Manila, sa Pasig, sa Laguna. Pero dahil provincial auditor ang tatay ni Edith Tiempo, nagpunta rin sila sa mga lugar katulad ng Zamboanga, ng Surigao, ng Samar.
Galing siya sa isang pamilyang edukado, na middle class, ginagalang sa kanilang komunidad sa Bayumbong, Nueva Vizcaya.
Ang kanyang katatagan ng loob, kumpiyansa at sariling kakayahan, at pagiging bukas sa mga bagong karanasan ay marahil ang mga naging tulay tungo sa iba't ibang oportunidad at susi sa kanyang malayang paglalakbay. Ang paghahanap sa sarili, sa kahulugan ng kanyang buhay, at mahahalagang bahagi ng kanyang gagampanan, ang di pangkaraniwang mga daang tinatahak ng isang babae ng mga kababaihang nabubuhay sa kanyang panahon.
Sabi ni Mami, Edith, kilala mo ba si Brigido Capili? Sabi ko, opo, lolo ko po. What did my lolo do? Nako, your lolo pushed me into marrying a very rich man. His name is Carlos Fernandez. She was working as a secretary in an office in Avenida Rizal. Siya galing ka sa Bayumbong na Vizcaya. Wala kang masyadong kakilala sa Manila. So, there was this adventurous streak in her na she knew there was meaning and purpose in her life. Hindi niya alam kung ano yon. So, pumunta siya sa Manila, nag-artista siya, nag-secretary siya.
Ang sabi niya sa akin, ang natatandaan niyang pelikula na ginawa niya dalawa, Prinsesa Kamuning, tapos yung Hatol ng Mataas na Langit.
There was a documentary done by this American fellow at the end of the war. Parang sinimulate niya yung mga guerrilla activities in Dumaguete. So she was in the first shot.
I think she looks at it with fun. Maganda kasi siya eh. Yung combination ng Kastila sa kanyang dugo, tapos yung kanyang nanay merong native blood as gaddang. People were interested in her chiseled features. Unfortunately, wala nang kopya ng kanyang mga pelikula.
Love, says the flashing air, thus I undrape you. Take now every knowledge before you crave it. Each new discover without unwearied search. Take the white fire I give, glow with it. Take me and be complete.
Isang mahalagang pagtatagpo na magdadala ng esensyal na pagbabago sa kanyang buhay. Isang mahalagang tauhan na magbubukas ng pintuan tungo sa kanyang habang buhay na bahaging gagampanan at magbibigay pakahulugan sa kanyang buhay.
Si Doc originally courted her older sister. I think pen pal sila, correspondence. Kasi summer late si Doc eh. Sila Edith or Gadang eh. North Luzon yan eh.
So, ginawa niya, sumulat siya ng isang kwento. Tapos yung maleta nung main character na babae, may initials na AL. Tapos later on, it was revealed ang pangalan nung babae, Arlene Lopez. Tungkol sa isang babae yung kwento na maglalakbay sa Surigao. Sabi nung nanay, umuwi ka ng Surigao kasi you're getting involved with this man and parang ayaw nung nanay. So, nabasa nung nanay yung kwento at nagalit siya kasi sabi niya, pinapauwi ko nga siya ng Surigao kasi para hindi siya makipagkita dun sa kanyang manliligaw. Tapos sino itong Edilberto Tiempo na nakasama niya sa barko? So sabi nung nanay, sulatan mo yung Edilberto Tiempo. Tanungin mo kung paano silang nagkakilala. Ayaw ni Ma'am Tiempo. Kasi sabi niya, how do you confront someone who's a stranger? So sabi nung nanay, kung ayaw mong gawin yan, ako yung susulat sa kanya and then mas malala yung consequences. So, sumulat siya.
I think he met them briefly, was more attracted to Edith. And sinulatan din niya si Edith. And Edith was probably better at expressing herself than the sister. So, mas napamahal si Doc kay Edith.
If it were dying so, we are lost in each other's sight. Lying here together, we are one prefigure stark. O folly that no touch sparks questions in the night. Oh, woe, where no word molds patterns in the dark.
Ay nako, she and Dad Ed were so in love. Alam mo yung, we would see them holding hands in the workshop hall. Under the table yan, nagkikritik si Ma'am Edith, ka-holding hands na si Dad Ed. Or they would touch each other a lot. They loved each other so much. I looked at them and I'm like, gusto ko ganyan. Pag kinasal ako, gusto ko ganyan.
Alam bang si Ma'am Edith at si Dr. Tiempo ay hindi nag-usap ng isang linggo o isang buwan dahil lang sa pagtatalo nila sa harap namin, ha? Kung anong mas dapat na ginamit nung kasama naming estudyante. A wind versus the wind.
That poem, yung bonsai, that tells you the relationship. But there were troubles in that marriage also, and that's the earlier poem, Lament for the Littlest Fellow. The littlest fellow was a marmoset. He held the bars and blinked his old man's eyes. You said he knew us and took my arm and set my fingers around the bars with coaxing mimicries of squeak and twitter. Now he thinks you are another marmoset. 1950, Lament for the Littlest Fellow. I suppose they still needed to adjust to each other as writer-husband, writer-wife. Oo, nag-aaway pa sila. Pero pagdating doon sa bonsai, 1972 na, labing-labing na talaga. That's why I love that pair. All that I love, I fold over once and once again to keep in a box or a slit in a hollow post or in my shoe.
All that I love? Why, yes, but for the moment and for all time, both. Something that folds and keeps easy. Son's note or dad's one gaudy tie.
A roto picture of a young queen, a blue Indian shawl, or even a money bill.
Its utter sublimation, a feat this heart's control, moment to scale all love down to a cupped hand size.
Till seashells are broken pieces from God's own bright teeth, and life and love are real things you can run and breathless hand over to the nearest child.
Dahil sa kanyang sister, si Arlene Lopez, maganda yung kanyang naging exposure sa panitikan at matalino siya. Nung dalaga pa lamang siya, sumusulat na siya ng mga kwento at tula. At dahil nga nagkatagpo sila ni Dr. Edilberto na manunulat, nagkaroon ng dalawang importanteng figure sa kanyang buhay.
Before the war, he won her, brought her to Dumaguete, and he was teaching. She, I think, continued their studies. So she had to catch up with him.
Nagulat siya kasi pag-uwi nila sa Dumaguete, in-enroll siya ni Dr. Edilberto para kumuha ng English sa Siliman. Ang kurso niya bago ito ay pre-law. Sabi niya, nagulat ako that he had enrolled me in English and he put it very nicely. He said, "You're not going to take a pre-law. I don't want a contentious wife. You will be an English major."
Tapos, si Dad Ed Tiempo ay nakakuha ng scholarship sa University of Iowa. So, sumama siya doon. Eventually, natanggap rin siya bilang mag-aaral. So, doon niya tinapos yung kanyang master sa creative writing. Ang kanyang PhD naman ay sa University of Denver, also on scholarship.
The fellowship in Iowa involves annually as many as 40 or 50 writers of different nationalities. Each one of them goes home with memories of a 3-month, 4-month stay in Iowa. And Iowa, of course, served as the template for the Tiempos. Early in the 50s, when they were there, they attended the workshop.
Kaya naging guro niya ang mga batikang manunulat tulad nila Robert Frost, Robert Penn Warren, Paul Engel. Na-expose siya sa highest standards of writing.
One favorite story of hers, In Iowa, Robert Frost came to read his poems and deliver a lecture yata. After the session, she literally sat at his feet and insisted that he reply to a question that she had. She said that I've always been curious about a certain line that he used.
Mr. Frost, what did you want to say in this poem? Yung stopping by woods on a snowy evening. Ang sabi ni Frost,
Easy does it.
easy does it. Kasi yung ending ng poem na yun is, the woods are lovely, dark, and deep. But I have promises to keep. Miles to go before I sleep. And miles to go before I sleep. Yeah? So therefore, you stop to watch the woods fill up with snow, but you have miles to go before you sleep. So come on, you enjoy the sight, and then you can go and keep your promises. Yun daw gusto niyang sabihin doon sa poem. Easy does it. si Edith, sabi niya, there's no such thing as a writer's block. It's there. It's there in your mind. So we always remember that from Edith. You will struggle. Okay lang. Miles to go before you sleep. Easy does it. Don't give up.
And they established the Silliman University National Writers Workshop, patterned after the Iowa program.
Isa sa mga pangunahing manunulat sa wikang Ingles at muhon ng kritisismo para sa Pilipinong panitikan. Ang kanyang panulaan ay hinahangaan sa angking talas, siste at salimuot na paglalaro ng mga salita. Ang pagsasama ng estilo at diwa na intelektual na paggamit ng lengguwahe at malalim na pananaw upang makalikha ng mga imahe na nagbibigay anyo at larawan sa napakaraming karanasan at kaisipan. Iba't ibang mukha sa malalim at malawak na saklaw ng emosyon.
Ang alam ko, isang paborito rin niya sa ating naiwan ay yung formalismo. Bagamat mas pinahalagahan ngayon kung ano man yung nilalaman kaysa anyo. Kung ano mga bagay na ilagay mo sa iyong tula, sa iyong kwento, sa iyong dula, sa iyong sanaysay o pelikula man yan o kahit sining visual nga o sa sayaw o musika, dapat meron kang dahilan kung bakit mo inilagay yon. Mahalaga yon sa kanya bilang isang alagad ng sine.
Writing is not just about putting words on paper. It's also about how you think. It's also about strategy. And if you're a writer who can make a plot, strategize how your imagery is going to go, then you can find a way to get your work published, to be read, to be part of the community.
The imagination may be there, the passion may be there, the ideas and the sentiments may be there, but putting them all together, like if you're writing a poem, putting them in a condensed way, with heightened language that aspires to music, that's the challenge. It's a challenge that occurs with every line, every word.
Synergy is the right word. Synergy of thought and feeling, then that poem will have power to move your reader. Yun ang importante. That's the real poem. That's the real short story. Yung synergy of thought and feeling.
She stands out because of her perspective as a woman. Hindi maalis yun, no? Cerebral, kasi nasa academic and all that. Pero how she blends this intelligent outlook with emotional makeup. Nag-fuse yung dalawa.
Mula sa kanyang mga koleksyon ng tula, kinathang nobela at maiikling kwento, kanyang ginamit ang kapangyarihan ng panitikan upang mabigyan ng tinig ang mga kababaihan sa lipunan. At higit sa lahat, kanyang binigyan ng daluyan ng ekspresyon ang Filipinong diwa't kamalayan.
Of course, she's a poet, but she's also a short story writer and a novelist. And then there's also her literary criticism, which matters. Mahusay ang mga kwento niya at ang kanyang mga nobela.
His Native Host. Yan ang favorite novel ko by Edith Tiempo. The Heart of the Plot. Yeah. You know what is the inside? Who are you? Yung ganun, what is my self-identity? No? Ang insight doon sa novel na yon, it is your usefulness.
Tungkol ito sa isang babae na she's an educated woman, she's a poet. Ang kanyang asawa ay isang successful businessman. Kaya lang yung kanyang main character, si Marina, ay naghahanap ng paraan para higit na maintindihan yung kanyang identidad.
It is beyond extension. It is beyond your geographical origin. I am Cebuano. I am not Tagalog. I am Filipino. What's my identity?
Yung mga binuhay niya kasing prinsipyo ng pagtula na bago rin sa pagdadaan ng panahon. So, halimbawa, pag tiningnan mo yung kanyang mga tula sa Tracts of Babylon, napakahirap nila.
This was a collection that was published in America. At that time, bibihira yung Pilipino na malilimbag sa ibang bansa. If I'm not mistaken, Reputable Press, if I'm not mistaken, Swallow Press, which is a literary publisher, published her book.
Parang kailangan mo talagang maging very sophisticated scholar. Maybe it will take more than a PhD, parang 3 PhD para maintindihan mo yung mga tula doon sa Tracts of Babylon.
The reason I loved Kindling and why I performed it in Performatura, that poem was about growing old, becoming petrified, becoming fuel. Na I cannot do what I did when I was young, but I can be fuel for your fire, you who are the next generation. And in my old age, and in my dotage, and in the years that I have left, my fire will burn that much brighter. Kaya nga Kindling, sinusunog mo na ako.
She writes about nature, she writes about love and relationship, especially yung isang poem niya about the in-between. If she meets someone, halimbawa, and syempre you don't know what's going to happen, but there's this expectation, there's this anxiety. I love that poem.
Well, the thing with from Mommy Edith that stays with me is bonsai, and I think everybody would say that's her national anthem, because what's great about it is that every word is just precise.
The vocabulary is simple. No big words. Why is it that you can get it and it moves you pretty well? Because the imagery, they cohere. The words evoke the image and the image lights up the meaning. That's what happens.
Every word and its relationship to the next word, to the next word, parang napakaayos ng pagkalatag. But at the same time, when you finish reading the whole thing, you see that, my God, what she was saying was so metaphysical, malalim, without it being, pretentious malalim. It was very authentic.
Bonsai seems to be the popular favorite among especially the millennials. People kasi can easily relate to bonsai.
One of my personal favorites is the poem Rowena Playing in the Sun. Rowena is an accomplished poet and fictionist na anak niya na based naman sa University of Iowa.
Her image then was of Rowena as a young girl, parang playing in the sun. No? Parang she's talking about how God filled the void with this creature, with my daughter. So she goes through that process. It's a religious creation or a spiritual creation. It was the first poem of hers that struck me and impressed me. And I memorized it immediately.
Ang paglikha ng isang tahanang kumupkup sa marikit na pangarap ng mga nais sumulat, ang pagbibigay ng inspirasyon at lakas ng loob sa pagsusulat, at paghihikayat sa malikhaing bisyon, malalim na ekspresyon, at dakilang dedikasyon sa sining bilang manunulat.
She wanted to find meaning and purpose in her life. Hindi niya alam kung ano yon until many years later when she founded the Silliman Writers Workshop in 1962 with her husband, and she produced all the literary children and grandchildren, and she realized that yun yung meaning and purpose ng buhay among other things.
Ang pinakamahalagang collaboration niya at ng kanyang asawa ay yung tao ng Silliman National Writers Workshop. Hindi lang naman silang dalawa ang panel ng workshop. Lahat ng mga mahuhusay na manunulat, binigyan nila ng puwang para makapagbahagi ng kanilang literary practice sa workshop.
Ang maganda nun kasi, si Ma'am Edith ang humahawak ng poetry. So, kahit pa paano nakatikim ako matuto sa kanya. Si Dr. Edilberto Tiempo ang humahawak ng literary criticism.
One of the most important things that she did was, ang dami naman niya nakuha ang fellowships, grants, and she had income, extra income, disposable income. Hindi niya ginamit ito para sa sarili niya. Ginamit niya ito para lumaki at lumawak yung Silliman Writers Workshop. Ginamit niya ito para mag-alagaan ng mga anak-anakan niya, mga manunulat. Personal funds niya, for personal money, ginagamit niya para ilibre kami for lunch or dinner.
The National Writers Workshop experienced some years of problems or trouble in the late 90s when Silliman actually stopped funding it. Some of us, the alumni who had become panelists, I recall we had our first meeting at my place, and we agreed to try to help fund it. And we did approach some of us were journalists, so we could write senators.
That year kasi, ang workshop, I don't think there was funding from Silliman. There was funding from the College Assurance Plan, was what I knew. She and Dad Ed, I think, took from their savings. Kasi covered yung airfare namin, covered yung accommodations namin, and we were given allowances every day.
What Edith did was she allied herself with CAP, College Assurance Plan in the Philippines, which had its own building in Dumaguete, right outside Silliman. So for several years, yung venue ng workshop doon, nothing to do with Silliman.
I guess siguro yun, trial sa kanya, if anything, because she had to spend from her own pocket. But you know, she didn't show any strain. It was really, she just loved what she was doing. She just loved having us there, having the panelists there. We didn't lose anything from the experience that the other workshoppers had told us about. So siguro ang laking challenge nun sa kanya, pero hindi ko kita.
It was mostly CAP that was lending the venue, providing administrative assistance. We were helping out in the funding. Her relationship with other people like the Sobrepeñas of CAP helped very much. So that eventually, what became the Writers' Village, which is another concrete testament to the power of the written word as well as the tutelage of the Tiempos.
Lahat ng ito, binuo ng mga Tiempo sa isang matatag na institusyon. Nangangailangan ng funding, nangangailangan ng venue, nangangailangan ng regular na panahon ng pagtuturo para maging lampas sa 50 taon yung workshop. Siguro, grabe yung sakripisyo doon, di ba? Hindi lamang yung pagod, pero yung pera, yung paglalaan ng panahon, oportunidad na nawala, personal para sa kanila.
Thankfully, when Ben Malayang became president of Dumaguete, Mom was still alive. I think he had been a student of hers. Again, he was one of those who gave it back, helped her a lot. And under his stewardship, Silliman, well, for one thing, bumalik ang Silliman actually to fund the workshop. So we stopped na our foundation from helping out. Mom also went back to Silliman from CAP.
Ang Silliman University ay dapat tumatanaw ng utang loob sa mga Tiempo. Ang mga Tiempo ang naglagay sa Silliman University sa mapa. Maaaring hindi lamang sa sining at kultura, kundi sa akademya mismo. Pag sinabi mong Siliman, Tiempo. O pag sinabi mong Dumaguete, Tiempo, Siliman. Yung tatlong bagay na yun naglalaro. At sa tingin ko, dapat meron ngang rebulto o busto ang mga Tiempo sa Dumaguete.
Isang palihan kung saan pinanday ang hineherasyong magaling na manunulat sa iba't ibang medium at mga guro ng malikhaing pagsusulat. Mga puwersa ng sining na patuloy na nagpapaunlad sa bukal ng mayamang Filipinong panitikan. Ang Siliman National Writers Workshop ay higit pa sa tao ng palihan. Ito'y isang kapatiran at pamilya ng pinagbubuklod ng pagmamahal para sa panitikan.
Ngayon marami ng workshop ang UP Ateneo, Lasal, UST, Mindanao State University, Iligan, San Carlos, Lasal Bacolod. But long before, it was just only one, the Siliman Writers Workshop.
It's been the longest running creative writing workshop in Asia, in all of Asia.
You're all put together in one dorm for 3 weeks na hindi kayo magkakakilala. It's like the writer version of Survivor. Nagkakatribo.
We're all there to help each other. Even the old writers learn from the young ones. Ganon ang spirit. It's a beautiful spirit. Community. It's a happy thing.
You know, we would come from different schools, different parts of the Philippines. Siyempre, ang pinaka-memorable experience was the Siliman Farm, where the sea was there. So we would go night swimming. Ay, sarap sa.
Ang pinaka magandang bagay na maihahandog ng workshop, magpakita ng iba't ibang punto de vista para yung manunulat na nakaupo dun sa mesa, magkaroon siya ng ideya na meron palang iba't ibang paraan kung paano susulatin ang isang tula, ang isang kwento. Tapos sabi niya, hindi kinakailangang magtugma ang sinasabi ng mga panel. Kailangan lamang silang maging totoo sa kanilang literary practice.
They produced national artists. They produced Palangka Award-winning, CCP, National Book Award-winning writers. There was a time na yung mga manunulat na nalilimbag, na nalo ng mga premyo, halos lahat sa kanila nanggaling sa Siliman.
They felt that young writers needed a mentorship of sorts. If they could connect some of the more experienced writers with the younger writers so that there would be that continuity, that mentorship, it would serve Philippine literature well, and it has.
You meet all of these young people from all over the country, and some of them are poets, some of them are playwrights, some of them are novelists, some of them specialize in short stories. And you're just there talking about the craft. Para sa akin nga, ang regalo ni Edith Tiempo and her husband is they created this space that young people need so that their talent can be created, the talent can fly. Parang sila yung gumawa ng sandbox na pwedeng maglaro yung mga young Filipinos.
They may be good or they may have the interest and passion at the time, but some will become doctors or some will become other career professionals. But you're happy to have 3 or 4 of every batch stay. And there are batches na that are surprisingly talagang mataas ang kalidad. 6 or 7 of them, ganyan. A year or 2 after Dumaguete, they help one another. They buttress each other's hopes and expectations.
Isipin mo from 1962 to 2019, matagal na mula nung namatay si Dad at si Mami, pero yung legacy nila lives on.
Kumbaga, regalo na lang sa kanya yung pagiging pambansang alagad ng sining. Kasi kung di naman siya nagkaroon ng karamdaman, siya pa rin ang magpapatakbo ng workshop eh. Diba? At ipagpapatuloy niya. Kahit walang National Artist Award, gagawin nila yan eh.
Isang ehemplong guro, minamahal na tagapayo at mabining kritiko. Ang kanyang pamamaraan na parehong nagbibigay direksyon at lakas ng loob sa mga manunulat ay tunay na maikukumpara sa pangangalaga at gabay ng isang ina.
When she thinks that you use a wrong word or a wrong phrasing, she can point out the shortcomings of your style without savaging it.
That is one of her other strengths as a mentor. No? She's a very good critic.
Because if you attend a lot of these workshops, it's a battlefield. Puro pataasan ng ego yan. But sa Silliman, despite the fact that there were other fellows who would, attack what you did and you'd attack what they did, siya yung peacemaker.
Ang di ko makalimutan, siya ay nakaduster, nakalapag sa kanyang binti ang aking mga tula. Hindi ko malimutan na nag-uusap kami, sa halip na nakapatong sa mesa, nakapatong sa kanya. At pinag-uusapan namin yung tula na isinulat ko.
And it was just amazing to find someone who could articulate my artistic intentions probably more than I could possibly put it together. Parang kadugo mo siya. Kasi nababasa niya yung takbo ng isip mo at hindi lang yun, nababasa niya yung sikad ng damdamin mo. And in that way, I think she was a true mother to most of the writers who were in the workshop.
Oh, she's very generous when she really likes a piece of work. She's so generous in proclaiming it to be excellent. But even the inferior ones, she would not, well, you know that she's not entirely taken by the work, but she points out the technical aspects of how to improve that work. And she uses all kinds of parallelisms. No? She will cite a piece of music, and apply it to the poem.
Yun pa, magaling na siya magsulat, magaling na siya magturo, magaling pa siyang kritiko. At higit sa lahat, babae. Bibihira yun. No? Sa panahon na yun, merong magaling na manunulat, magaling na guro, magaling na kritiko, pero karamihan, lalaki.
It is learning to be comfortable in your skin as a writer, in what you do as a writer, and put this in front of an audience. Kasi confidence, pwedeng mag-overcompensate ka. What she taught us was to be comfortable being different from everybody else, but not trying to scream it out at the world.
Katulad ng kanyang mga nilikhang panitikan, ang kanyang buhay ay isang obra maestra na puno ng inspirasyon. Dala ng walang sawa at buong pusong paglaan ng sarili para sa sining, para sa tungkulin, para sa iba, para sa malalim na kahulugan ng pagiging tunay na alagad ng kultura. At sa sentro ng larawang ito ay ang katauhan ng isang dakilang ina na may kakayahan na magbigay ng pagmamahal sa bawat bagay at buhay na kanyang hawakan.
Writing is a lifetime calling. Lifetime. Your best guru, your best teacher are the writers you read. Si Edith Tiempo, for example, ang favorite niya, Elizabeth Jennings. You learn from the other writers. They are your best guru.
Alam mo yung estilo niya, elegante, sophisticado, angat. Kasi sa pagiging elegante, sophisticado, at angat ng kanyang wika, tangay din yung kanyang tula. Makikita mo naman,
Her main advocacy, I think, was the Silliman Writers Workshop. She wanted to produce a community of writers who will read each other, who will support each other, regardless of political convictions or style. And eventually, you realize that Silliman had so much impact in the course of Philippine writing, not just in English, but in the other languages.
Tahimik yun na sakripisyo na parang niyakap nila, binuhay nila, na wala masyadong drama. Diba? Yung hindi binabalikan para sabing, ginawa namin tong lahat. Parang at home sila dun sa ganung pagpapasya. I think in many ways, it conveys a deep sense of mission. So para sa akin, yun ang kanyang legacy bilang national artist.
She'll always be mom to a lot of us, to hundreds of writers who, especially those who have gone through 40, 50 years of Dumaguete.
Kawangis ng kanyang mga tula, ang kanyang buhay ay isang walang katapusang talinhaga na sumisimbolo sa kaganapan ng iba't ibang tungkuling ginagampanan ng buong katapatan. ang kanyang pagsunod at paghamon sa iba't ibang panuntunan. Ang kanyang paglikha at paggiba sa mga kaisipan at kamalayan ay siyang balintunay ng isang dakila na isinabuhay at naging legasiya ni Edith Tiempo.
Ma'am.
Mom Edith.
Mom.
Mom,
Mommy Edith,
Mom.
M-O-M. As in, mommy.
I would describe Edith like a butterfly.
gentle as the wind.
Palaisip.
Ina.
Nurturing.
literary mother.
She's fire.
Incomparable and most memorable.
Ito ang pamana ni pambansang alagad ng sining sa panitikan, Edith El Tiempo. Sagisag Kultura ng Pilipinas.
Ako ay Pilipino, lahing matapang, lahing matalino, nalakbay ko ng mundo.
Walang unos o bagyo sa aking gugupo, lahi ng matatag. Ako ay Pilipino. Ako ay Pilipino. Ako'y makadiyos.
Ako ay Pilipino.
Ako'y makatao.
Saan man makarating, sino mang makapiling, aangat ang galing habang buhay Filipino.
Tumipot sandaang mga isla, magkakahiwalay ngunit nagkakaisa. Tahanan ng aming lahi, mga pook na aming ninimiki.
Puno ng kasaysayan, puno ng hiwaga. Sa mga lugar na ito nakatanim ang ugat ng pagka-Pilipino. Ako ay Pilipino. Ako'y makadiyos.
Ako ay Filipino.
Ako'y makatao.
Saan man makarating, sino mang makapiling, aangat ang galing habang buhay Pilipino. Kami ang lahing kayumanggi, mula sa bughaw na langit at dagat. Mula sa pulang animoy dugo, hinalo sa dilaw na araw at bituin.
Yan ang kulay ng katatagan, yan ang kulay ng kagitingan, buong tapang na sumisigaw. Yan ang Pilipino.
Ako ay Pilipino.
Ako'y makadiyos.
Ako ay Filipino.
Ako'y makatao.
Saan man makarating, sino mang makapiling, aangat ang galing habang buhay Pilipino. Ito may dala ng pagkakataon o sadyang binuot naging okasyon. Pagdiriwang ang aming kasiyahan, ipinagbubunyi ang kalayaan.
Pinupuri ang katapangan, kapanganakan, pag-isang dibdib. Magbalik pa